Welcome to Alicante, Spain, and the opening event of the Volvo Ocean Race 2014-15 edition. After 38,000 working hours to build a boat, months of training and preparation, thousands of sea miles already under their belts, it's time for the chat to end and the action to start. 7 international teams are about to begin the tough battle to the finish line, 38,000 nautical miles away. Now, while the Volvo Ocean Race at its core is an offshore competition, the teams are also going to be tested on shorter import race courses, showing they can survive these intense imports with all the other boats no more than a few meters away is an all-important part of their progress to be overall Volvo Ocean Race champion. And it all begins here in Alicante today. Now, I'm joined by Mark Cavell. Mark, you're an Olympian. You've also done this competition before. What are these teams going to be experiencing getting down to their boats and finally beginning the race?
Well, the preparation is over. The qualifying sea miles have been sailed. The sailors are done with packing sails. They're done with gym sessions. It's time to dock out and check into the sailing. It's time to go racing.
So we've got the final few moments before the start. The teams are going to head their way out into the water, make those all-important final checks, and let's take a few moments to look at each team in a little bit more detail and find out who might be our overall champion. One of the outcomes of the move to the One Design Volvo Ocean 65 is it's opened the door to a new batch of contenders. First to sign up were Team SCA with an all-female squad, the first since 2002. Led by Brit Sam Davies, famous for her exploits in non-stop solo circumnavigations. Team SCA's aim? To be the best performing all-female team in the history of the Volvo Ocean Race.
I'm not here to just make up numbers or to tell a story. We're here to race around the world, and we have an amazing opportunity. It's the dream opportunity for any sailor, whether it's female or male, to have this kind of project set up, and we're making the most of it.
Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing were next in. Ian Walker returns as skipper, determined to improve on a disappointing 5th place last race. This is Walker's 3rd successive campaign, and he was quick to recognise the opportunity that the move to One Design offered, so he's assembled a team loaded with Volvo veterans.
We've trained well, got a really nice group, enjoying my time sailing, and this time round we've got all the ingredients and we certainly haven't got any excuses, so it's in our hands, but there's an awful lot of work to do.
Returning for his 7th lap of the planet with Volvo is 51-year-old Bao Becking, Team Brunel's Dutch skipper. His first race was 28 years ago, and since he's skippered twice and been runner-up twice, this time his eye is firmly on the main prize.
It's really a shame that there was no Dutch entry in the last race, so we said we have to get our act together and just put all the effort in trying to get a boat on the line. Sailing is just in our hearts in the Netherlands, and I think that's the reason why we're here.
Dongfeng means, appropriately, the eastern wind, signifying the impact this Chinese team are looking to make. The crew is made up of half Chinese rookies and half international pros, their joint mission to bring offshore sailing to China. Their skipper is Frenchman Charles Cordrelier, and he's put the new recruits through their paces, clocking up nearly 10,000 sea miles in preparation. The race's young guns are Team Alva Medica, an American entry backed by a Turkish sponsor. At just 30 years of age, skipper Charlie Enright is the youngest in the race, and his team are the youngest sailing squad. Enright's chased his Volvo dream for 7 years, so today, when he lines up with the rest of the fleet, it'll be a dream come true.
There's a lot of unknown. You don't know what you don't know, but we feel like we've prepared well and we're keeping it in perspective. So very much looking forward to it, yeah.
Spain is back in the race. Iker Martinez and Xabi Fernandez returning with one clear objective: to claim the nation's first Volvo Ocean Race victory. A late entry, their tactic is to make up for lack of lead time by appointing a star-studded sailing squad, including French solo sailing legend Michel Deschoyaux.
And I think the spirit of the team is that we have a chance. If you stay at home, you don't have a chance. If you are in the starting line, you have a chance.
Last to enter, Team Vestas Wind, with 4-time race veteran Chris Nicholson in charge. With less than 2 months build-up, Nico had surrounded himself with some solid Volvo Ocean racing experience. his choices immediately rewarded with a win in the warm-up race, leg 0.
It's been amazing, 2.5 months. No one's had a day off, and we've got ourselves to a decent level. But the challenges have been huge. We're still not there, but we will be there.
So the racing today taking place in Alicante Bay. We've got some good breeze coming in at the moment. Mark, how does it look for today?
Well, the land is heating up and sucking that cool air in from the sea. We call that a sea breeze. And that typically comes from the southeast, but it's already clocked round to the south. And it's building. There's a few little white caps on the water. We're going to have some great pressure for some good racing today.
So the boats are out there making their final adjustments to the breeze, their final adjustments for the competition. Mark, today it's an import competition. How does that course look? How is it going to test the sailors?
Well, for this inshore race, the start is between a race control boat on the right. You can see the white line here. That is the imaginary start line with a pin end to the left. They race upwind, round the top gate, back down, through the gate, back up again. They do that 6 times, 6 legs, 3 laps. Then they finish down through the start-finish line and we'll have a winner. Right now the leg is at 1.3 at a bearing of 190 degrees.
So today is the start, the first event, Alicante, in the bay, right up close to the shoreline. We've got the crowds coming out. They're lining up the sea walls. They're going to have this front row view. For those of you joining us, looking at the broadcasting images, we've got the helicopters out. We've got cameras on the water. We're going to get a great view of the racing. 1 minute 30 to go until the start line opens and the boats are allowed to begin this first import race. Right in front of us, we've got Abu Dhabi skipper Ian Walker. This is a boat from the Emirates. They've got a young Arab lad on board. He was the first Arab to do the race last year. Adil Khalid this year taken on an awful lot of responsibility. Not only is he trimming, he's also one of the helms as well. A really, really big responsibility. Now these boats jostling into position. We've got the race venue right in close to the shore, so everyone's going to be able to have a great view. They've all come out to the race village. Mark, coming into this start line, what are these sailors trying to do?
Well, the good news is they've got breeze. They can really throw these boats away. And we can see SCA just really turning the boat round. They're ready to, they're finding their position and ready to put the gun down, actually throttle down and head to that line. You can see the committee boat just to the right of picture as Abu Dhabi sets up for the right-hand boat. This is really exciting with SCA just a little bit behind the line here as they accelerate with 20 seconds to go. So we've got Vestas all the way out to the left and coming in, barreling in Abu Dhabi from the right.
So 10 seconds to go as the fleet are approaching the start. The countdown is going. The committee boat at the bottom of the course, the white mark at the top. 3, 2, 1, and the fleet cross the line. It's a big bunch up at the top, but we are away for the first race. And down on the water, we've got Knut Frostad, CEO of the Volvo Ocean Race and a previous competitor. Knut, your team have been putting this event together for years. How does it feel to watch this racing start?
For several years, and we have fantastic conditions
here. We're not
here.
quite able to connect with Knut at the moment. We're going to come back to him as soon as we can. That was a fantastic start there, Mark. Now, what I'm seeing here is we've got one team, Team Dongfeng, heading out to the right-hand side. Everybody else punching out to the left. A difference of tactics there for Dongfeng?
Well, that is so punchy from Dongfeng. Starting on port, on the left, with absolutely no rights coming across all the starboard boats. He is so convinced that he wants the right. He wants to be going out to the right. And it's one less tack he's going to have to do. All the other boats are going to have to do another tack to come out here on the right. So great start by Charles Caudrelier there.
It's an amazing, gutsy move. I mean, we saw him do similar things in practice, but it's important to note this competition has got to go around the world. They've got 9 months of racing, and to be able to have the courage to do a maneuver like that, you risk damaging your boats, and that can seriously hurt round the world campaign. It's amazing to see maneuvers like that in such a marathon event.
Well, if it started to look ugly, they would have certainly bailed out from that. But you can see all the other boats now slowly tacking away and coming out to the right. But look at the advantage that Dongfeng has got now coming out to the right. SCA did a good job of flicking over to the right as well. The game is all out onto the right.
So the boat's now heading out to the right-hand side of the course. All the other competitors tacking over and sailing out to the right. We were talking earlier about this sea breeze possibly just shifting a little bit to the right. With the boats heading out to the right-hand side, do we maybe have a little bit more right-hand shift to come?
Well, typically the breeze comes round to the right because the sun moves round to the right. And it seems to drag, with the heat of the sun, seems to drag the sea breeze round to the right. So that's what they're looking for. And when they do tack, they're going to come round and they'll be on lane 1 to the right.
Now it's Team SCA there in the middle of your picture. This is a team representing Sweden, and we've got Sam Davies, one of the most notorious offshore single-handed sailors from Great Britain, on board that boat, skippering an all-female team, the first all-female team in more than a decade in the Volvo Ocean Race. Now I have just been told that we've got hold of Knut Frostat. Knut, you're on the water, the race is underway. How does it look from where you are?
Well, it was a very, very good start, and what an aggressive start from Dongfeng race team. I mean, doing a port start in the first start in the Volvo Ocean Race, that's pretty impressive, and they are definitely leading the fleet as we speak. But they have a lot of maneuvers ahead of them. We're going to do 3 laps on the race course, 3 full laps, so a lot of things can still happen, but a great start obviously for the Chinese team.
So Knut, just if I can come back to you, you're there, you've built this race up, you and your team, putting in countless hours of work. It now all begins. What does it feel like to watch all of your hard work bear fruit?
Well, I mean, for me, it's a dream come through. You know, we work hard on this for 2 years to build the event, and the big change with it for all the boats to be the same, and to see this whole fleet and knowing that every one of them have exactly the same opportunity. And this is really now just about people. It's about people decisions. It's about getting the team together, how quickly they react, and no excuses. I think that's sport at its best.
So Dongfeng race team punching out to the right-hand side. That start really has turned into some great advantages for them. They look like they've got a decent enough space. They're not being put under pressure by Team SCA or Abu Dhabi just behind them. And we can see there's already a little bit of a spread in the fleet, but it's Dongfeng been able to capitalize on that start and really pushing out. Charles Cordelier there, skipper of the boat, being able to squeeze out the best advantage from his team. Now this team, they've got 6 young Chinese sailors who've gone through a grueling selection process to be chosen for this boat. 2 of them are on board today. Charles was saying in the press conference, his main aim is to bring offshore sailing to China. Now, just think about the amazing challenges they're going to have on that boat, Mark. They've got 2 languages. How on earth do you communicate on a boat like that?
Well, the communication is, you know, a lot of the time it's just natural instinct to know what's going to happen at the next time. And these guys were trained and trained and trained for this. And it's great to see them still out to the lead. It'll be interesting to see exactly how much shift there is out here on the right, as we can see SCA just rolling away for attack to go back and connect to the fleet. And it wouldn't be surprising me to see that Dongfeng starts to tack over. They must be getting close to ley line.
The Dongfeng race team leading the fleet out to the right-hand side. Team SCA tacking over, now going to sail their way back into the middle of the course. It's so important when you're sailing in an event like this to position yourself so that the breeze gets to your sails without having to go over anybody else's. Every time the wind passes over somebody's sails, it loses a little bit of power and you're left just scrapping it out for what's left of the breeze. Getting out in front, getting that breeze first, that is what it's all about. Now, Team Vestas Wind looked like they were really charging up from the middle. Alva Medica now in the middle of your picture. The bowman out in the front getting instructions from skipper Charlie Enright, setting up the boat for the next leg of the course. When they get to the top, the sails are going to have to change. They're going to use the A3 downwind Jenica sail to power the boat down to the bottom of the course. Dongfeng race team looking to tack presumably out in the middle of the course. Team Vestas Wind, they are looking quite comfortable, but out onto the other side we've got 2-boat battle between Team Brunel and Mapfre, the Spanish entry, battling out on the left-hand side. Now remember, all these teams quite spread out at the moment, but shortly, Mark, they're going to get compressed as they get to the top of the course. How do your tactics have to change when you come into the top? Suddenly you've gone from having loads of room to nothing.
Well, you can see that they're already coming out to the right-hand side of the course, and they'll be tacking through up on that lay line. The lay line is basically the point of the right-hand side of the course, ringing the bell out there, and they'll tack over. And it's really important to get over the rest of the fleet that's trying to chase you down. And we can just see that SCA still heading out to the left behind the fleet. And Vestas looks like they've done really well inside. And let's see now as Dongfeng Race Team tack over.
So Dongfeng Race Team tacking over, going head-to-head with Team Vestas Wind. Dongfeng coming in from the right-hand side. They're coming in on starboard. The boat's already powered up. Vestas Wind coming in from the left. They're going to be on port. So Dongfeng Race Team have right of way if the two boats are bow to bow. And looking at that camera angle, it looks like they are going to come in bow to bow. In fact, the bowman is up on the front. Possibly the skipper of that boat, Charles Correlia, might call him to go forward and advise them whether they're going to have to avoid at the last minute. Vestas Wind still holding course, still punching over. They've got to turn to avoid, and they do so now, leaving that right to the last minute. They really want to tuck up next to that boat, don't they, Mark?
Now Vestas could have gone a little bit further, but it looks like that Vestas Team Wind has tacked on ley line. They're confident they're going to get around that top mark. Well, they certainly better, otherwise they're going to be in trouble. And Dongfeng Race Team is now going to hold their position above to follow them into the top mark on starboard.
So we've got two boats vying it out for first place. We've got a bunch going behind them, and soon the fleet is going to be compacted into that top gate. Now, the way these top gates work, coming into the middle of your picture now, we've got the yellow mark in the middle of your screen. There's two of them. The fleet have to sail between those marks, then they can choose which one to go round. Now, Mark, how on earth do you decide which mark you want to go round? What are the tactics for that?
Well, your positioning into the top marks is very, very crucial. If you're coming from the left, typically you might want to go round to the left-hand mark because you'll be on the inside of that. If you're coming from the right, then the right-hand mark. So, but it's a big old maneuver to come round. If you're going round the right-hand mark, you've got to tack all the way round and bear down, get the sails up, and then you'll be heading down the left-hand side on port tack with the wind on your left. And that's what I think we'll see. And Dongfeng will be on the inside of this mark.
So the fleet approaching the top mark of Alicante Import. The first time to the top, we've got Vestas Team Wind, we've got Dongfeng Race Team neck and neck. The downwind sails are up and furled, ready to go. There really is too tight to call. These two boats are going to get squeezed in tight around the top mark. It's all going to be about how they maneuver that limited room to try and get the advantage on the downwind leg. And Vestas pushing Dongfeng right up. A big luff, Dongfeng Race Team having to head up to avoid. That allowing Vestas just to get that little bit of room, pull their bow down, swing the stern out, and hopefully keep their bow in front so they can get the breeze first.
Well, that was really nice work from Vestas. They did a little nudge to windward, and that just pushed Dongfeng Race Team up, and it just stalled them from bearing away down. So Vestas got a really nice call around that top mark.
Abu Dhabi, first boat to go around the other mark. Alva Medica now at the top of the course. Their Spinnaker about to come out, but it's Team Brunel and Team SCA neck and neck around the bottom. The girls on board that boat helping the Spinnaker clear the jib sail. Now they've got to come back, hoist it, unfurl it. Team Brunel, Spinnaker already out, already powering them on. Those two boats bow to bow, they are going to be vying for that clean wind position. If Team SCA can just keep their bow forward, they're going to punch out in front. Coming round the mark now, map free, it's Iker Martinez and Xabi Fernandez on the boat. They're pushing their team as hard as they can. They've got a little bit of catch up to do, but as we go on to the downwind leg, the tactics change, don't they, Mark? Suddenly there's almost an advantage to being behind.
Well, Mapfre has come around this mark and has been able to actually sail pretty low, but now Vestas Wind really making it difficult for Dongfeng Race Team.
Dongfeng Race Team and Vestas, they are in that typical lock that we see with A3 spinnakers. You sail angles downwind. Now, if we can just cut to Canute on the water. Canute, we're seeing some really tight boat-on-boat action. These teams are really pushing it. Did you expect this kind of aggression?
Well, yes, I do, to be honest. I absolutely do. This is the way they race, and believe me, they race like this around the world. This is about very small margins. Remember, last race, we had less than 2 minutes between podium positions on the way across the Atlantic into Lisbon in Portugal. So they are used to the small, tight differences. I was very impressed with the SCA team here trying to push Team Brunel and Bowie Becking all the way up to the spectator fleet. And they took a big risk by doing that because they waited to hoist their or unfurl their sail, and they lost by doing it. But this is small margins, and now we have the fleet splitting. So this is going to be an interesting bottom mark. Who's going to be the best, left or right?
It's amazing to see this fleet. They're so aggressive. You jam them into such a tight race course right in close to the shore. And of course, these teams, they'll take every opportunity they can to win. Canute, how does it look? Oh, now we've got Alva Medica, the young guns of the fleet, coming in with incredible pace. Team Vestas win. That spinnaker still flapping. Mark, what on earth happened there?
Well, Vestas struggling with their spinnaker. There's some problem not to get that in, and they're very, very slow. And it meant that Alva Medica could give them a luff as leeward boat. If you're downwind, your leeward boat, you give them a luff, and they just did a really nice job of powering through. Very, very difficult to sail from underneath the boat forward, and that's exactly what they did. So well done, Alva Medica.
So we have got 4 boats out on the left-hand side of the course. Alva Medica that we just saw on the screen there, they're out to the right-hand side. Vestas team win right behind them. Remember, all of these boats are yet again going to converge at the bottom of the course. There's another gate to go round. So they're in these individual fights at the moment on either side of the course, but when they come down, if they haven't done enough to get in front of each other, they're just going to run out of room to go round these bottom marks. And unlike the top mark, these massive A3 sails that power the boat so well downwind, they're going to have to get that down in a hurry to get round the bottom mark.
Well, after all the action of the top mark, they're going to start thinking about how they're going to set up to go into that bottom gate. And we can see that Dongfeng Race Team now choosing to jibe, and they'll be coming back across on port, and it's pretty close with Alva Medica. I think they'll make it in front, but it's going to be close. So they're coming. In fact, they're going to fade back again. They're sailing very low and slow, and yes, they're going to get across. They're going to get across.
Dongfeng Race Team there. That's a very gutsy maneuver. I mean, these guys are gutsy on the start line. They're gutsy out on the race course. And the spectator fleet almost being part of the action there. Alva Medica, the young guns, being able to hold their line, hold their speed. They've had some fantastic pace downwind. And potentially that group on the right-hand side just able to cross in front of the other fleet when they come back together. That right-hand side of the course looking like it's got good breeze. They're the boats now in the middle of the spectator course. We've got on the right-hand side of your picture, Team Vestas Wind. Out on the left-hand side, in the middle of your picture, the young guns. Alva Medica jibing now, struggling to get that spinnaker round and set. You've got to release all the power from one side, pull the sail right the way around in the front of the boat, and then get that power back on for the other jibe. Team Vestas Wind behind them, jibing again. So now we're about to converge on that bottom mark. Now then, Mark, as they come into this bottom gate, how are they going to time this so they can get their sails down, turn around the buoys without infringing each other?
Well, it looks like they've lined themselves up quite nicely. They're going to try to come in, not do any big maneuvers in the last point, and get that big asymmetric sail down, and really carry their speed around the leeward mark. That's what they're trying to do, and just keep rolling as they come. And the Brunel is certainly trucking down here. You can see how much speed in this in still fairly light conditions, how fast these boats go.
The skipper of Team Brunel, Bowie Becking, this will be his 7th time on the Vendée Ocean Race. What an experienced sailor. Then we've got Dongfeng Race Team. Charles Cordrelia, again another very successful sailor. There's Olympians in this fleet. There's Vendée round the world sailors. It's incredible to bring so many talented sailors together and put them under this much pressure. And now we're watching the lead boats starting to get those upwind sails, those jibs up. The packs are starting to approach those downwind marks. We're watching on the screens. They're going to start to converge more and more. Probably 10, maybe 20 seconds to go before they come into this bottom mark. And already it looks to me, Mark, like we're going to see some head-to-head collisions here.
Well, at one stage I thought that the Dongfeng Race Team side was going to win and be well ahead of Abu Dhabi's side on that right-hand side looking upwind. But it looks like Abu Dhabi's made some really nice gains, possibly a shift in the last few seconds of this leg. And certainly we're going to have boats converging. And we've got the Abu Dhabi coming in on starboard tack, and they have right of way.
Abu Dhabi coming in looking fairly confident. The boats coming in from the other side, the pack of three, not quite managing to stay in front. Abu Dhabi approaching the yellow mark. The bottom gate of race one. This will be the conclusion of leg two. Once more back up to the top. Abu Dhabi furling the spinnaker. They've got to get that thing away before they can turn the boat onto the upwind course. And they're struggling, Mark. That looks to me like they might even, they haven't got a very efficient roll on that.
Well, it's coming in slowly. It's always quite difficult. You've got to get the sheet, the bottom of the clew, the bottom corner down. But it looks like they've pulled it off. And they are, as I said, they're going to come barreling in to that. They're choosing the left-hand mark there. They just bow onto the mark now.
So round Abu Dhabi go of the bottom gate back onto the upwind course, looking reasonably comfortable in the lead. It was all done on that downwind leg. But right behind them, Alva Medigap being pushed by Dongfeng Race Team. This is very close. We're going to have 5 boats coming round this gate simultaneously. Team SCA electing to jibe out, go around the opposite mark. They don't want to get too much involved. They want to keep themselves space. They thought they had space, but Team Brunel, bow becking, pushing his bow in right at the last minute. He's going to force Team SCA wide, forcing them to slow down. They can't take that smooth turn into the mark. Team Brunel, now they get their bow up onto the upwind course. Has that maneuver killed all the speed from Team SCA? Time will tell.
Well, SCA had to really put the bow down to avoid there, and that really does scrub a lot of speed off. But the boat that I thought that really came off worse in that whole maneuver was Dongfeng Race Team, because they were looking really nice for a nice rounding on that left-hand mark. And they got a boat on the inside, and that forced them to have to sail all the way round the back. So they are now heading off to the left, having lost 2 places in that leg.
Team Vestas Wind just going slightly wide of the mark there, just being forced almost to sail below the other boats. It's almost like they've got a problem with their jib. They can't seem to pull it in tight enough to get themselves on that upwind mark. And as we look at them going upwind, spot the difference. One of those boats, the blue sails of Team Vestas Wind, still with their downwind sail hoisted. It's furled, but it's up. That's causing drag. That's going to slow them down.
Well, that will be a lot of windage as they head up. There must have been an issue on timing there. If you don't drop it on that downwind course, it's very, very difficult to get it down onto the deck. So they may be still working on that, and they may even try to pull it round to the windward side of the jib and try to put it down using the jib as almost like a net, as we see SCA tack away.
So Canoe, if we can cut to you, you were out there at the bottom gate. Did you see that mark rounding? It looked like it was incredible to see all those boats, all this space, and suddenly they come together at the bottom.
Yeah, and I think what we just witnessed now was preparation. You know, Abu Dhabi, one of the teams that have trained the most miles, more than 10,000 miles of training. And Vestas Wind, who has just been training as a team for a very short time, and that big maneuver problem they had on the middle of downwind. I mean, they went from leading the whole race to being dead last. And that's a pure crew error, pure crew mistake, and small details that makes a huge difference. And here you go from first to last, basically, and that's a tough one for them to swallow. But they have a few months to make up for it.
These import races, pressurizing the crews for their close quarter maneuvering in a way that on an offshore, yep, you've got a little bit more time, but you want to try and hold on to every little meter. So this import racing, proving that you've got the skill to get around these imports, is so important. Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing, skippered by Ian Walker, one of the most celebrated skippers that GBR has, leading the pack. They are the most experienced team. They're also definitely hungry for the win this time. Ian Walker not quite getting the results he deserved in previous years. It's going to be really interesting to see if this is a pattern we're going to see time and time again.
Well, it is not surprising that on board Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing, if you add up all the times that their crew have sailed around the world, they have a total of 20 times that they've sailed around the world collectively, and that is by far the a very, very experienced crew indeed.
Now these Volvo Ocean 65, they sail with 8 crew members. They've got a couple of guests on board today, plus 1 media man. Now 8 sailors, that's not a lot to control this massive power. And as you look down on the boat sailing in your picture there, Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing, Ian Walker's on the helm, the other guys in the middle of the boat providing the power and also providing so much feedback to the helm so he can make the right decisions. Team Vestas Wind, yep, a new team coming in. They're fresh. They're trying to be a little bit bold. They're trying to chase up. How on earth do you try and put together a campaign in such a short amount of time, Mark? How on earth can a team that's just joined the Volvo Ocean Race try and compete with some of the top guns?
Well, there's plenty of people out there hungry to get onto one of these boats. So they will have put together a very, very smart team. In fact, there's 15. Well, if you add it up, there's 15 around the world is on board. The skipper himself has done 4 times around the world, and as they come across this second upwind leg, we have Mapfre, centre shot.
So Mapfre now in the center of your shot. That is Iker Martinez and Xabi Fernandez. Now, not only these guys, offshore sailors, but also they're juggling 2 campaigns at once. Have I got that one right, Mark? I believe they're also involved in an Olympic campaign.
Well, Iker made that very, very clear that this is Volvo time. Last month he was racing in Santander in the Olympic scene, and that is been put that down, and it's time to think Volvo now.
Now this team, I was talking to the teams on the dock earlier today, and a couple of them confidentially did say to me that Mapfre is a big scare for them. When you look at that team, you look at the roll call of people on board that boat, one of those names obviously really stands out. Michel Desjoyeaux. This is a guy that's won the Vendée Globe twice. That's around the world by yourself. Here he is on this immense boat, the 65, incredible amount of power, with an incredible team around him. Potentially, Mapfre could go all the way.
Well, you can say that of all these boats. It's amazing the teams they put together, and there's depth in all of the boats. And it is showing with these one designs that the results will be very mixed. I can see that all of the boats will win a leg at some stage or another.
So Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing still out slightly on the right-hand side, but leading the pack. We've had a couple of boats punch out to the left. Alva Medica towards the middle of the course. Now, Mark, when we see a big split like that, that's really opening it up for tactics. One boat going left, one boat going right, it can make a big upset.
Well, with the boats primarily wanting to protect the right, you're never going to pass the boat if you just follow. So that's what they've tried to do. They've tried to mix it up, hoping for a left-hand shift. And Abu Dhabi's done a really nice job of just staying in front and covering, tacking and covering. And they are now set up just short of ley line to come across, just to make sure that the left doesn't suddenly get a little bit of advantage with the left-hand shift. So just equaling the whole beat up.
Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing, skipper Ian Walker at the press conference, he was saying, well, I've done this before. My tactic is, it's not about just going out and winning every single race. It's just chipping away each time, getting good, solid results. And right now, he's doing much more than that. He's leading the fleet. playing a very good tactical game as well. He's coming back to the middle every so often, trying to lock down any mistakes that his team might be making by going simply one way or another. If you stay in the middle of the course, no one's going to be able to pull any huge surprises. So we're approaching the third time, the third mark, the third gate at the top of the course. We've got boats punching right out to the ley lines. We've got Mapfre, we've got Team SCA on the right-hand side of your picture. On the left, on the far left, Team Brunel. So these teams, they're in the middle of the pack. They're looking for that little bit of an advantage, and they are playing the tactical game.
Yes, looking at this wide shot, it's you can definitely see the darker and lighter patches on the shading of the water, and that is basically showing that there's lighter patches and then there's windier patches. That's what the sailors are looking for, and if you can stay in the pressure, you're going to go faster. And Abu Dhabi has just been loose covering. They're lining themselves up for this top mark. You can see the sails ready to go on the bow. So very, very soon we'll see the crew going forward and starting to get those asymmetric sails ready. It looks like they may be a little bit under ley line. It may be that they still need to put a small tack in.
So Abu Dhabi coming up to the top. Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing, Ian Walker putting the boat through a turn. They've elected to go round the opposite mark to the leaders in the last race, but this was the same mark they went round last time, and it was on the downwind leg that they did all that good work and take the lead. There's the bowman helping the downwind sail find its way up to the top of the rig. When it's up, they'll unfurl it, the power will come on, and the boat will start accelerating. Now out in the water, at the top of the course, Canute, how does it look from where you are? What we're seeing, Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing, years of experience, they are sailing that boat very smoothly.
Oh, there's no doubt that they are well trained, and there's also no doubt that Ian Walker really believes on the inshore side of the race course. You know, he paid a price to make a tack there, and now I see Alvemedica does the same. That cost them almost 30-40 meters to make that tack, and they still do that just because they want to protect the inside part of the race course going down. And it's really cool to see that the young guys at Alvemedica are up there. They've been the most consistent boat almost since the start. They've really been up top two all the time. And these guys are in their 20s and early 30s, and I think there's a huge potential now of these young guys going forward.
Dongfeng race team going round the yellow mark to the right-hand side of picture. Very early unfurl on that downwind Jenica. The power almost coming on and almost overpowering them. You want to get that sail out, but if you get it out too early, it overpowers the boat and you simply cannot turn it around. Neck and neck, Team Brunel and Mapfre going round opposite marks, electing to go down either side of the course. These gates at the top and the bottom really do force the teams to make these tactical decisions, don't they, Mark?
Well, it keeps the game close, and it keeps the game close for us. The last thing we want is a procession, and it'll be really interesting to see the two boats as they rejoin. We'll know which side's paying.
Team Vestas Wind closely followed by Team SCA, Sam Davies on the helm. Team Vestas Wind, they haven't got their spinnaker up yet. They're looking to leave it to the last possible second. The crew now helping it find its way to the top. The bowman struggling to hold that sail. It's an enormous sail. It weighs a ton. Team SCA getting their bow just down on the inside, having to rip the boat away. It's such a difficult maneuver. All the sails have to be in sync to turn the boat that fast without stopping it. These two are going to be locked horns the entire way down the leg. Let's start to see those spinnakers getting out. You've got to get that power on, otherwise the boat just stops dead. Now, yet again, Mark, there's the big split on the fleet. We've got two boats going down to the right-hand side. Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing, Ian Walker leading his team out to that left-hand side as we look down the course. At the back, Team Vestas Wind, Team SCA. How do you get past an obstacle like Team Vestas Wind right in front of you?
Well, we're watching it now because SCA held off on the hoist, let Vestas Wind go forward, and now they have the advantage that they aren't unlocked. So SCA can actually put the bow up and try to take Vestas Wind, and you can see as the camera comes there is no overlap, so Sam Davies can go either way. She can head up and try to sail over them, or just hold that inside lap for the early jibe.
That is such a high pressure position to be in, mere meters away from each other. And Sam Davies, the skipper, she's right at the back of that boat, 20 meters away from the bow, and she's got to judge that to within the nearest half meter. And if she gets that wrong, the entire dreams of that team go up in smoke for the next week. They're going to have to get that boat repaired again. Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing, Ian Walker jibes his boat, the Spinnaker just coming on, just getting set onto the new jibe. There's a lot of power in that boat. They're really able to separate, really able to punch out in the lead. Abu Dhabi really getting quite an authoritative position on the fleet.
Well, the wide shot I saw before, it showed that there was a little left-hand shift further down that leg, which meant that Abu Dhabi could actually come back on a really nice leg, a really nice angle. And they're still struggling to get that huge asymmetric sail in. So I think they've actually not only led round the top mark, but they've actually had a really nice shift to come back in. And that's just perfect for the team from the United Arab Emirates.
It's amazing to see the boats heading out to the right-hand side of picture there. That angle that they're on, they're almost heading closer to the downwind gate than the boats going out to the left-hand side. So that initial maneuver by Abu Dhabi and the other boats going out to the far left-hand side, now we see the boats on the right-hand side as we look downwind, potentially getting a little bit of a gain. So we got the Brownlee brothers, the famous GBR triathlons, Olympic medalists, world champions, and also the winners of the latest Abu Dhabi triathlon. They're out enjoying the racing today, hanging on at the back. We can see the two boys there. Ian Walker just in front of them, helming that boat. That's going to have to be an incredible ride on this boat. I mean, what does it feel like to sail a boat this powerful?
Well, that's one of the wonderful things about these import races. We can actually get people on board, we can get sponsors and fans and competition winners onto the back of these boats to actually be live on the race course. How many other international sports can you do that on?
So we're going down to the bottom gate. This will be Mark 4. We've got two boats out to the right hand side. We've got a pack coming in from the left hand side. You can really see how much this course has skewed round with that slight wind shift. The tacticians on board the boat desperately trying to figure out what's going to happen next. Now, I did speak to one of the teams earlier today who were confidentially letting me know how much effort they put in to try and second guess the breeze in the bay here. Team SCA. Now, these guys have had a real endorsement for themselves today. On board with Team SCA and skipper Sam Davies, we've got Prince Carl Philippe of Sweden. It's a Swedish team. Now, these guys really are getting the royal treatment today. The big man coming onto that boat. You know, that's going to have to put some pressure on Sam Davies here. The middle of the three gentlemen, you can see at the back of the boat. For Sam Davies, skippering this boat, now, with as competitive as you are as Sam Davies, are you trying to give this guy an easy ride, or are you just going out there to win?
Absolutely out to win. She won't be thinking of whoever's on the boat. They've been training for this, and they'll be racing hard. She will be so locked in to this race course.
Now the team's about a third of the way down the course. We're coming into that crucial compression moment at the bottom gate. We've still got individual packs of boats racing, but as they come into that bottom mark, they're going to get squeezed together. Last time at the bottom, we saw some very near misses. All this racing around the legs, and it came down to just half a meter. Coming in from the left-hand side of your picture, you've got Team Brunel still slightly struggling towards the back, trying to get through, but Abu Dhabi on the right, still in the lead. That Spinnaker, that they haven't been able to get that Spinnaker really pulling all leg to me, Mark. Maybe they're trying a new trimming tactic I'm not aware of.
Well, it's very puffy there, and I think that they might even be struggling to keep that sail go.
So the first three boats coming in together, Dongfeng Race Team, Alva Medica and Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing, all coming into this bottom mark together. Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing, the crew now furling that downwind Spinnaker, getting themselves ready to go on the upwind leg. We can see Ian Walker perched right on the side of the boat to try and get the best view. Those sails really getting in the way of all the skippers. They've got two steering wheels on these boats to enable the skipper to try and move right out of the way and get the best view possible, because as we saw on the last leg, it does come down to mere meters. Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing look like they're going to have a good line into that right-hand mark, the yellow mark on the right of picture. Alva Medica, neck and neck, rounding at the same time, the mark on the left-hand side. So a great downwind leg for Alva Medica.
Well, I think the breeze went left there in that in those final sections. The Abu Dhabi jibed on a nice shift, and then just shows how shifty this race course is. And Alva Medica getting the better of it coming back down. So I think that Alva Medica, I would certainly want to be on that boat going left.
Alva Medica heading left, Abu Dhabi heading right. We've got Mafri coming round that bottom mark, setting up to follow Abu Dhabi out onto the right-hand side. That Spinnaker sail just hanging into the air a little bit longer than the team would like, just struggling to get it down onto the deck. Team Brunel bow becking, 7th Volvo Ocean Race campaign. The Spinnaker safely down. They're going to turn around, and at the top of your picture, Dongfeng just tacking over, having to head into the middle of the course, try and find a little bit of fresh air. Still very, very compacted at the bottom. Team SEA just approaching the bottom mark. The downwind Spinnaker goes away, the jib comes out, the team getting ready to make this turn around the white mark in the middle of the screen now. There goes the A3 Jenica down onto the deck. They've got, not only have you got to get it down, you've got to get it under control, you've got to secure it. If that thing blows off the boat and drags into the water, the boat comes to a standstill. You can see all the crew now working hard on those pumps. They've got to get the sails in. Just as the load comes onto the sails, they've got to pull them in, fine-tune them from the upwind leg. Every single person on that boat giving it power, manhandling the ropes. Vestas Wind just struggling to stay close enough to Team SEA. Now these two boats came round the top mark, neck and neck. Team SEA managing to punch out in front.
Well, it's been shifting all the way down, back and forth, and we are into the final lap here. 2 more legs to go as the guys get the main in there, and
so Knut Frostad, if we can just cut to you, they're still, we're 2 laps in, and still these boats are neck and neck. Did you expect the teams to be this evenly pegged?
Well, I didn't expect to be evenly pegged, but I think what is super interesting now is that this import race has a big psychological effect, because for the young guys in Alva Medica, you know, I've been discussing this with them, and they obviously see the huge experience they have on the other boats, and Charlie Enright is on his first real skipper job here. And for him to do really good on this import race is going to be an enormous boost for what's happening on the start next weekend. I'm just next to Abu Dhabi here on the race course, and it's not so easy to say where you want to be, if you want to be in Alva Medica's shoes right now or in Abu Dhabi's shoes, because I think they're both looking in strong positions, and it's going to be pretty close, I think, on the top mark.
Okay, thanks, Knut. Now we're back onto the racing here. Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing sailing along. We can see the crew still making those final adjustments. It's not just about getting the sails in, getting them set, and then tying the ropes off. Every single time these boats hits a wave, hits a gust, a slight difference in the wind angle, adjustments need to be made. And there's not one sail on this boat, there's 2. Also, underneath the boat, we have a keel that moves. This thing has to be adjusted. It has to be tweaked. If you get that wrong, the boat's going to swing over. And we can see from the helicopter shot there underneath the water, that yellow-green keel poking out from the water. It can swing from one side to the other, providing extra righting moment. That's all controlled by hydraulics and electrics underneath the boat that come out to a tiny panel in front of the skipper. Every time the boat tacks, he's got to time the movement of that keel from one side to the other perfectly. There go Team Brunel through that tack. The skipper already setting the keel over, making the adjustments on the wheel, trying to get the boat through the breeze. The crew now on the pumps. Get that jib in, boys. You've got to get the power going. The crew on the coffee grinders in the middle, working the winches as hard as they can as the other guys pull in the ropes. The skipper then runs across to the windward side, getting that better viewpoint as the sails come in. There goes bow becking up to the other side. Now they've settled the boat down, and they'll be getting back into those final tweaks. Now, Mark, I can't say I've ever put myself through that grueling work on those coffee grinders. That looks like hard physical work. What's that like?
Very, very hard work. It's hard on the arms, hard on the whole body. I mean, you train for it very, very hard before the event. But these imports, you do a far, far more of these maneuvers than you ever do on the leg itself, and it really does test the teams. So many more corners, so many more maneuvers, but they love it because this is great racing. And now I'm just looking down and just interesting to see that Charlie Enright on team Alva Medica has put a nice covering tack across, because Abu Dhabi far right boat, they both went round that leeward mark at the same time, and looks like Alva Medica has got them just right.
So we've got a front three pack, Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing, team Dongfeng Racing, and we've got Alva Medica, all three of those boats within enough distance to get round the top of the course first, and then it's just one more down to the finish.
This is almost going to be the last shift into the top mark. If Abu Dhabi can get a nice header, the wind go right, they'll tack round and come in on the lane one, as in a nice right-hand shift. So that is exactly what they're going to be looking for now. And let's see, they're going to tack now, and we're going to bring the two boats together.
Ian Walker on board Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing, bringing his boat through attack. The boys get that spinning, get that jib in, and here we have that compression. Here we have the cross. Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing, we can see Team Brunel to the left-hand side of picture. Those boats pretty close, except it's the ones we can't see. Alva Medica, Dongfeng Race Team, they are right in the way of Abu Dhabi. Now here on the right-hand side of your picture, Dongfeng Race Team coming in. Dongfeng on port tack, Abu Dhabi on starboard, and we can see Dongfeng bearing the boat away. You've got to ease the sails there, boys. Look how much power there is in that boat. Barely able to control it, but the guys manage. They have to yield. They haven't got right of way. They bring the boat round by meters, just missing the back of Abu Dhabi. I mean, that is close. You don't want to give much distance away when you duck another team, but that was really close.
Very close. Of course, if you're on the left, you have no rights coming across, but certainly Abu Dhabi, Alva Medica is ahead.
So we saw an incredibly tight cross, and now Alva Medica, the young guns, they were neck and neck with Abu Dhabi at the bottom mark, and now they've sailed their way into a reasonably comfortable cross. You could see Alva Medica there. They were on port. They had to stay clear, but they were that confident. They said, no, don't worry about it, Ian Walker. We're going to stay out of your way. We're that far ahead. All they've got to do now is keep that lead into the top mark, and then it's once more down to the finish.
Now this is really interesting because we've seen that both boats, Abu Dhabi came around the top mark and went down the left-hand side of the course looking downwind, and Alva Medica went down the right, and Alva Medica certainly got back in.
So Canute, it seemed like from where we were that both sides of the racetrack are paying there. A little bit difficult for these teams to pick which side they're going to get the advantage on. What did you see happening?
Well, I'm just next to Dongfeng here, and I think what Ian Walker was thinking here, he tacked early on Abu Dhabi because he wants to come into that gate from the left. He wants to come into the left, have a really nice rounding, and I'm confident he's going to head back into the shore on the left side looking down the course, because that's where he has made his gains every time. So that's a tactical maneuver from him, but obviously it's no doubt that the Alva Medica guys have had the best lane now going upwind. And I think we will see the Alva Medica guys probably tack around the mark. We will see, but both Abu Dhabi and Alva Medica make big gains on that inshore side going down.
So Alva Medica leading Dongfeng Race Team in from that left-hand side of your picture. Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing on that right-hand side, still to come in. We can see the windward gate, the top gate on the left-hand side of your picture, 2 yellow marks. The crews have got to sail their boat between those boys, and then it's up to them which way round they want to go. They can round either mark. Alva Medica looks set to come in on a beautiful line to that bottom mark, the one on the bottom of your picture. They're going to round that. The downwind Jenica's got to come up, and then they're off to the downwind course. So the final mark rounding before the finish at the first in port. Here come Alva Medica round the top. They weren't leading all the way round, but they've overtaken some of the best in the business. If they can keep this lead going to the finish, they are going to put the first victory on the scoreboard. Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing heading out to the other mark. They're going to split on this downwind leg, go either way. Abu Dhabi just managing to keep ahead of Dongfeng race team there. Dongfeng, the Spinnakers up. They're approached those top marks. They're electing to follow Alva Medica. So Alva Medica, Dongfeng race team out to the right-hand side of the course looking down. Abu Dhabi going out to the left. So, Mark, very much, still everything to play for. All three of these boats, you know, we've got packs going left, packs going right, different tactics.
Well, we had a very close cross, and Abu Dhabi made a nicer line into that top mark. So I would say Abu Dhabi slightly further ahead of Dongfeng race team. Looks like both boats had a little trouble unfurling their jib, unfurling their A sail, and we can see Abu Dhabi only now just getting that A sail up and going as Mafri come round the top mark, followed by Brunel.
Baubecking on board Brunel, skipper of that boat. The Dutch team, the Spinnakers going up and getting unfurled, the guys on the pumps. Team SCA coming in. They've closed down quite a good amount of distance here behind Team Brunel. They've got themselves back into it. They've tacked over. Now they're going to elect to follow, not Abu Dhabi's course, but the two other teams going down the other side, Alva Medica and Dongfeng race team. So we're not seeing an awful lot of consistency with the tactics of this course. Different skippers, different tacticians deciding different things. We're going all the way down to the finish. Team Vestas Wind still to reach the top mark, still to get round. Unfortunately, just slipping slightly behind. We've seen some great sailing from these guys, but they just haven't been able to hang on to the front of the fleet. However, we're early into this competition, still time to practice, still time to learn, still time to close down on those top guns. Here come Team Vestas, Chris Nicholson on the helm. These guys, do not underestimate their sailing skill. Their CVs are long and their victories are many. But unfortunately, in the Volvo 65 class, they haven't quite found that sweet spot. They haven't quite found the pace that the other teams have. So they haven't quite had the time, have they, Mark? I mean, how long do you think it takes for a team like this to get to grips with such a complicated boat?
Well, SCA got the first boat out of the mould and they've had the longest on the water. Then Abu Dhabi's have enjoyed a really good option to train their crews. Thousands of miles already sailed. And what I'm looking at very interestingly is, where is the shift? What is this shift? Because we've got split opinions. Alva Medica going out to the right of the course looking downwind, Abu Dhabi off to the left, and when these two boats come back down, who will make the gain?
So on that left-hand side of the course as we look downwind, Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing, number 5, Alva Medica, number 4 on the right-hand side. These two boats have jostled for the lead. It was Abu Dhabi's, Alva Medica took it away. They're now halfway down the course. They've both jibed, they're heading back together. Now, when you're a tactician on these boats, Mark, you've made your call, you've told your skipper, no, we're gonna go this way. Now comes that agonizing moment where you've got to see if you've made the right decision.
Well, you make your bed and you have to lie in it. And right now, as we zoom down to see that amazing Falcon flying on Abu Dhabi, they will be looking out to the right-hand side of the course, looking downwind to see where that shift is. And it's looking like going to the Americans at the moment on Alva Medica.
That's an amazing difference in speed. You've got Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing punching in at almost 9 knots. We've got Alva Medica coming in at around 7 knots, maybe a slightly different amount of pressure on either side of the course. Alva Medica, I mean, they've got to be desperate. The young guns ready, they could really stamp their authority on this fleet. They had the lead. Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing, you give them an inch, they take a mile. They are coming down with pace, 1 knot more speed. Potentially Ian Walker and his team, with all that Olympic experience, with all that Volvo experience, they just spotted that little extra gust. Hopefully, we'll see what happens when they come down here. Are they still going to be close? Is Alva Medica still going to have the lead? It looks to me a little bit too close to call Alva Medica. They're traveling well. The Spinnaker looks strong. It got power. It's pushing them down. We can see the crew on the front trying to keep a little bit of weight in the right places, keeping the jib sail down, out of the breeze. Every little thing you can do. These races come down to mere meters, and potentially Alva Medica looking like they're going to cross in front. It looks to me like Alva Medica just able to hold on to that.
Now Alva Medica is going to come down across and put the jibe in front. A nice, safe covering maneuver here. And we need to see a good jibe here. It's a little slow on the flare. That means you let out a lot and you've got to pull a lot back in. So look at the pace.
Alva Medica jibing now. Abu Dhabi still with the pace. They haven't jibed. They haven't had to sacrifice that speed. We've got 16 knots in Abu Dhabi, only 11, 12. It's slowly clocking up on Alva Medica. But this is where Abu Dhabi make their charge. If they can get their bow up, if they can get over the top of them, they can take the wind from their sails. Who's in the strongest position here, Mark? Can Alva Medica defend from here?
Well, they can defend because they are the leeward boat, but they're trying to get that sail in. We may look for a luff here. They have rights to luff because Abu Dhabi is the approaching boat from windward side. Abu Dhabi has to keep clear here. And Abu Dhabi's just powering down. They're going to do everything they can to overhaul the Americans.
Abu Dhabi and Alva Medica. Abu Dhabi pushing them high, or sailing not the most efficient route down to the bottom, down to the finish, instead electing to go a little high, get a little bit fast and try and roll over the top of Alva Medica.
The other thing these high angles are doing, it's actually equalizing the course. It's actually putting the game back into the middle of the course. So there's more options for the chasing boat.
So now we've got Alva Medica. They've been able to survive that first charge from Abu Dhabi, but the race isn't over yet. Abu Dhabi almost looking like that they're just coming down, getting ready for an attack on the opposite jibe. These boats still have more turns to do to get down to the finish. Abu Dhabi just scaring Alva Medica there, just giving them a little bit of a nudge just to say, you know what guys, if you slip up, we are going to pounce right over you. Alva Medica about to jibe to go down to the bottom mark, but Abu Dhabi still coming in with pace. This race is going to come down to the final meters.
Well, when Alva Medica jibe, Abu Dhabi is going to try to simultaneously jibe above and try to roll them again. So, no, they are actually coming across the finish. They've made it across the finish.
Alva Medica wins the first import race by a mere boat length on Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing. A fantastic start to their Volvo Ocean Race campaign. The young guns on board Alva Medica have done it. They've not only beaten Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing, but some of the best sailors littered across the entire fleet. That is a fantastic start. How does that feel, Mark, when you begin your ocean racing campaign with such a fantastic victory?
Well, a young team getting a great win there over, say, the veterans of this fleet, Abu Dhabi.
So Mafree there coming across the line, a very strong third place. Iker Martinez steering his team to a very solid result. Team Brunel in fourth, just about across the finish line. Bao Becking, his 7th Volvo Ocean race. Years of experience. And behind them, we've got Dongfeng Race Team, the Chinese selected entry. They're coming into that bottom finish. They're going to be crossing the line in 5th place. A nice result for them, gives them a good deal of confidence. They're going to feel quite good about their sailing experience. Remember, this team, a lot of their guys, 6 Chinese guys on their team who really had no major offshore experience before this event. They've been plucked out of obscurity, put on one of the fastest boats we have, and been asked to sail round the world against some of the best. Behind them, coming into the finish line in 6th place, Team SCA skipper Sam Davies brings her race to conclusion. Still out on the course, coming in from the top of your picture, Team Vestas Wind, Chris Nicholson. is going to be a little bit disappointed with that pace. Now there go Team SCA across the line. Well done, Sam Davies. Now that's a good result for Team SCA, but I think we're going to be able to see more from them as they get a little bit more fine-tuned. That is a team with some exceptional skill levels.
Well, you'll see in all of these imports, the first import is a little bit scrappy, and as the boats sail and they get their sea miles and all these maneuvers start to be ingrained in with the crews, as the race goes on, these imports will get closer and closer, and we'll start to see more and more tight sailing.
And speaking of practice, speaking about miles accumulated, Team Vestas Wind, Chris Nicholson, they're a very new team coming into this competition very late. They've got some incredible achievements spread amongst their sailors, but there's no response for years and days spent into the Volvo 65. This really has got to scare the guys a little bit. There's time, they've got some exceptional skill, but how do you regroup from just not quite managing to hold on to the fleet? What do you do? How do you build your team back up?
Well, tonight there'll be briefings and looking back and feedback from the coaches about where they can do better next time. But the teams now, with the import race behind them, they'll be thinking about next weekend. The short input before they then spin off around the last mark. They don't go through the finish line until they get to Cape Town.
Team Vestas Wind, Chris Nicholson, just bringing their boat across the finish line. They furl the spinnaker away, that A3 Jenica, the downwind sail, across the finish line. You can just see by the body language on board the guys, no one likes to finish last, no one likes to lose, but these guys, they have more to give. They know they can do better than that. You can see it in the way they're moving around the boat. Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing, a fantastic opening for them. Really pushed themselves. But Alvi Medica, they were the guys that did well. Now, Coot, you're out on the water. That looked like a fantastic finish from where we are. What's the atmosphere out there?
Oh, people are cheering and jumping up and down there. In particular, I think the local Spanish crowd here were very pleased to see Ike Martinez and the Mapfreight team getting up there in the podium, because they didn't look too sharp in the beginning, and obviously being locals, that matters. But fantastic win for the young guys on Team Alvi Medica. I mean, that's what these guys need is confidence, because the next month for them is going to be about making good decisions every day, every morning, every night when they're out racing, and making good decisions is linked to your confidence. And now they feel that, you know, technically we can clearly match the top guys and the experienced guys, and they're going to go into the leg now. The leg start next Saturday with a lot better position than they probably dreamt about this morning.
Well, thanks very much for all your input out on the water today, Canute. I know that this means as much to you as it does to the sailors, and we wish your race all the best. Many thanks to you and your team.
Thank you very much.
Well, what a fantastic day we've had on the water. That brings the conclusion of the import race. Let's take a look at those first scores. Let's recap on what we've had. Team Alva Medica, Charlie Enright skipper, an amazing result for these guys. Real confidence boost. They've got that all-important first win. Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing right behind them, not to be forgotten. These guys were right on their heels. Towards the back, Team Vestas Wind just struggling to find that little bit of pace to be able to keep up with the rest of the team. However, early days, everything to go. Mark, any final comments?
Well, I would say we've seen some great racing, and I'd like to say Dongfeng Race Team, what a great start, port tax start, congratulations to them. That was a little win in my book for them, but well done Alva Medica. They really showed the veterans of Abu Dhabi how to do it. So good luck to all of the boats next weekend as they head off for the leg one to Cape Town.
Now, if you'd like to join us to watch the start of leg one, the teams will be racing in the Bay of Alicante again before beginning the colossal leg all the way to Cape Town. It's on the 11th of October, 2 p.m. Spanish time, midday GMT. Me and Mark are going to be here watching all the action, giving you as much information as we can. And this will be the start of the offshore event for the first Volvo Ocean Race leg. Get yourselves there, come and enjoy the racing. It's been a fantastic day today. Who would have thought the young guns, starting their campaign out in front, but anything could happen. Join us on the 11th of October, midday GMT, for the Leg 1 start.